Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
This is Pastor Fred Harris and Pastor Jatasha Harris here from I'm on Purpose Global Church. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on what time, what part of the world you're in, or what time you're actually viewing this video. So we want to bring you blessings today. We hope that today's an awesome day for you, and hopefully we have a message today that's going to resonate. That's going to, most importantly, it's going to help.
Yes.
So with that being said, Anu, do you got anything that you want to open up with?
Just again, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever, like Fred said, whatever time zone you're in. We're going to just go ahead and get started. We're going to jump in. Fred is going to lead us in prayer, and then he will go into some scripture, and I'll go into a message on today. We'll share some announcements, and then we will be out of your way. Again, I am on Purpose Global Church. We started this church to help people who are dealing with pain and shame, but also for people who are not in church for whatever reasons, whether you can't make it because of work obligations or volunteer obligations or things with your children, or you just don't feel comfortable going into the church due to some recent events that happened that has caused people to be afraid to step in church. And so whatever that is, that's your own personal decision. We don't judge. There's no judgment here. So there's a no judgment zone. But we just wanted to provide another outlet so that way people have, in addition to what they're used to or what options are also given to them. So this is just another option. And like we always say, it's not for everybody. And we understand that, and that is okay. But it is for somebody. So, that's why we're here. So, honey, you can go ahead and lead us in prayer, please.
All right. So, Heavenly Father, we come to you today. We ask for blessings on today, that the words that come out of our mouth are not of us, but of you. Lord. That way, anybody who's listening right now can receive the message that's going to help them and build them, and they can turn around and help and build others. We say this in your name, and we praise you. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, folks. So last week we talked about anger. And this week we felt like that is such a heavy topic that we're going to continue talking about it. We know that unresolved anger leads to hurt, leads to more anger, not only within our own selves in our daily lives, but continued anger down our generational line. So to us, this is something that we need to highlight over and over again, and we're going to go within this today. So I know for me, I'm a person who tries not to get angry quickly. I'm a person who I don't let a lot affect me. I don't know if because I'm a passive person, but just all my life I've always been like that. But there's a lot of people who aren't, who are quick to get angry at the drop of a dime. Sometimes it happens in marriage, sometimes in friendships and work. Some people they can become very angry very quickly, and it doesn't help the situation. So I was continuing to looking up several scriptures that talked and highlighted this, and one of them that stuck out to me was Proverbs 19:11. And it said, "It's man's discretion makes him slow to anger, and it is his glory to overlook a transgression." Which in my mind means if somebody wrongs you, it's not my place to get angry right away. I like to take my time to dissect things and make sure. And sometimes I don't have the best reaction. A reaction right away, and for me, I know it's different from her, where she may have an instant reaction, but sometimes for me, it takes some time for me to really develop my reaction to it. That's just the way I am. So to me, that helps me in that aspect because I don't automatically get upset. But there have been times when I have been very upset and instantly upset. But I am quick to dial my anger back. One, because of my size, I can't get unhinged because of my size, because I know that it's not a good situation. So to me, being slow to speak or slow to act in those situations is paramount in terms of where we are. Another one that another scripture that I read, which is called Proverbs 22:24. Which it says, "Do not associate with a man given to anger, or go with a hot-tempered man." So we all know, we've all had them friends, or we know them people who, like I said, they are quick to anger. But not only are they quick to anger, they're quick to incite other people to get angry at the same time. And we know anger does not produce positive fruit. It only bears negative fruit. And in my line of profession, being a law enforcement officer, I respond, or we get called to situations where anger has taken over the person in a situation where it's family issues, where it's out in the street, whether it's disturbances out in, with businesses or whatever the case may be, or most importantly, what I've seen lately is where people have harmed other people in a negative way. Now, I'm not going to go into detail, but I've seen a lot of it because when we hang around or associate with people who get angry really quickly, that tends to lead us down that same path. So as a man, as a parent, as a father, as a husband, we have to be careful about who we bring around our family, who we associate with, because that anger can lead into our personal lives and then can get us caught up. So if we hang around people who are quick to get angry and quick to become violent in certain manners, that can lead us being associated with them into a situation that we don't want to be. I hope that makes sense.
It does.
Because, I've seen and I've actually taken people into custody who, for lack of a better word, were associated with somebody who were quick to anger, and that anger transferred onto them and they reacted as well, which was a negative situation for them. And we have to be careful about who we associate with. We have, and I feel like most importantly, when people get angry at certain situations, when people are angry with not only themselves but with the situation in life, they're indiscriminately getting upset with God. And take for instance the book of Job, where God allowed Job, the devil, to hurt Job, to take away his family, his flock, the boils on his body, to make him suffer. But still, despite the fact that Job was going through all that, he didn't curse God.
He didn't curse them.
He stayed faithful. And this is going to lead us further down the road into faith. But right now, we're talking about anger. But Job's anger did not get the best of him. Job's anger did not entrench him down a path where he cursed God like everybody was telling him to do. Even his own wife told him to, but he wouldn't do it. Even when he lost his family, he didn't do it. But think about that for a second. Job, people were trying to give Job the right to do it. But Job said he stood strong in his faith, and his anger did not get the best of him. And so with that was a strong message for me. So like I said, be slow to anger. Let's mature a little bit. And I think as men and women, we have to mature, we have to grow and develop. And if you can't take anything out of this, read the story of Job and how his faith helped him, was so far and so developed that he didn't curse God despite everything being against him. Everyone being against him, he didn't curse God at all. So I'm gonna turn it over to my wife right now and let her give you a message that she wants to share on today, and then we'll bring it back.
Yeah, that was really good. And yeah, Fred is, I definitely can attest to what he said about who he is. He definitely is a man who does not react quickly. He, is very good about just taking the time to just think about it. He won't respond right away. Sometimes that can make you upset because you're like, well, what are you thinking about? We can go back and we have come a long way for just who we are, but then also sometimes, how we were raised and environments and stuff too that we're in, and my mom is deceased, but I'll share that my mother, she was 5'2", if that, and she didn't play. She did not play. And I don't like to say short people syndrome. I don't want to say that, but I know that she always got into it with people who were way bigger than her. And I watched that growing up. At supermarkets, anywhere, people cut her off, road rage, even though road rage wasn't a big thing back then. We didn't have a word for it, but now, yes, the road rage. So I would watch, and I just thought that's how you're supposed to react. And so I remember growing up and, oh man, just getting upset with people, hot-tempered and all of that. So I definitely can relate to that. And that is not the way to go. It is definitely not the way to go. So if you are that kind of person, I would say work on it. And not to say it's going to happen overnight, that it'll go away, but over time it'll get better. But it definitely is not the way to go. And I'm just saying it from my own personal experience. But I'm going to be real brief. I wanted to share talking about Job and just not cursing God and not listening to what other people were telling him to do and things like that. Fred and I have gone through a situation like that, and I'm going to bring you back to the year 2013. There's some things that happened, with us that we haven't really shared. Not very many people know. I could say if 5 people know, what we experienced, that's a lot. But in 2013, it was actually the year that we moved to North Carolina. And that same year that we were down here, after getting all settled, and it was amazing what happened, because once we came down here, things we got an increase in our pay for work. I was able to stay at home and work from home, right? We were all excited. Kids were in school, Fred's job, everything was going how ideally the way we wanted it to. And then in that same, like November of that year, God had told me to go and learn the word intentionally. And I'm thinking, why are you saying that? Because I've been on this path since 2004 when I got saved. I literally been intentional about learning about Christ and development and things like that. But he said, go and learn the word. So I interpreted that as go and get my degree in divinity. So I applied to divinity school and was waiting to hear back. Well, in that time that I was waiting to hear back, January of 14, God woke me up on my mother's birthday. I mean, it was, and I know it was him, because it was about 4 in the morning, and I could not go back to sleep. And I was crying. I just woke up in tears, and it was heavy. And I just heard him say, it's time for you to leave your job. And I'm like, huh? And so I'm there crying. I called my aunt, who is also a pastor, and I just shared it with her. And then she was like, I can't tell you what to do, but if you heard what God said, you got to do what you got to do. So I'm thinking, okay, I got to talk to him about this and see what he say. He did not say, he said he didn't hear God say that. But I said, babe, that since we've been together, I have never put us in a position or a place where we're going to, it's going to be harmful for the family. I'm not saying we don't make mistakes, because we do, but it's all, if we make mistakes, it's because the intention behind it was good. You know what I mean? So one, like I was trying to say, I want to stay home and just be able to put my feet up. It was not that. I've always worked since age 13. Anyway, so we both agreed, okay, yes, we'll go ahead and leave. We had some savings lined up. We had some investment property back home. So, we were like, okay. And I already had a coaching business that I was doing part-time. So I said, okay, we'll move that up to full-time. Did all of that. Was in position on January 17th. Put it that same day that God told me. I put in my notice, and to leave, my 2-week notice. And January 31st or whatever it was my last day. So now we're here, we're moving along, and things were not going as planned. The coaching business wasn't picking up like we thought. We were pulling from our accounts, our savings account, dwindling down. We sold our investment property, all of that. And when we looked up, we were basically didn't have much left. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, I know, God, you told me this. I heard you. And, my husband, being the man that he is, he's ride or die. I got to say it. My husband's ride or die. And he's like, look, we're going to do what we got to do. And things weren't picking up. And I'm feeling the tears coming. Things weren't picking up the way we thought it was. And I started to a little bit doubt. And then I was afraid to really hear what he was thinking, because I didn't want him to feel like, well, why did you do this? Or, blame me for putting us in a position like this. And I'm like, God, I trust you. I trust you. I've heard testimonies. I've been personal development. So I've heard other people's stories about when they had to leave their jobs and when they quit, and, having to eat noodles and just different things to get to where it is that God wanted them to be. So I knew the process was right, but we've never been on this journey like this. You know what I mean? So we were like, oh man. So I couldn't really share it, because I'm like, if I share this with somebody, they're going to think I'm crazy. And then they may encourage me to try to go back to work. And I'm like, that's not it. It's not that I don't want to work. It's not that. But I'm trusting God. We just got to stand. We got to wait. Anyway, keep going. Things just weren't getting better. And it got to the place where we were like, oh my God, we don't have enough to make ends meet. And then it's like, well, what do you do? And we had to go and to apply for services. We have never been on social services or any of that ever before. And that was so hard for me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what if I see somebody that I know? I was thinking about all the prideful things rather than, we need assistance, we need help. And
walking around the grocery store trying to delay checkout because somebody that you know.
Man, it was. I remember I went to the place where I had to go apply, and I did not go in. Well, I went in, but then I turned back around and left. I was like, I can't do this. I cannot do this. And I just couldn't do it. I was thinking I was seeing somebody from my church. It was so bad. Anyway, I ended up calling, and I was remember praying in the car saying, Lord, please show me a different way that I can get services without like being in the public. And then I somehow I found a location that was in our town. I was like, oh, wow. So then I was like, well, that's a small location. But then what if because it's the only small location, everybody from town is in there. So all these thoughts are going in my mind, but I knew something had to be done, and we had a family. So I went, and I remember sitting in there, and I was like trying to hide. I was upset. I was angry. I didn't want anybody to talk to me because I just felt like I shouldn't be here. We were making 6 figures, blah, 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 blah. And all of a sudden now we don't have that. And it was so hard. Fred, he didn't even come with me. I went by myself. And I know that was hard for him because he was probably thinking like, we came down here with 2 jobs and now we have 1. You said you heard from God. And, to be honest, Fred's faith wasn't in that place. He was on his journey, but our journeys were different. I was very intentional since the day that I got saved. Fred just kind of took his time, should I say, for lack of better words. And so I just felt like he's not even understanding really this process. And if only he would just do some more development just so he can understand and we can go through this together. But I had to realize he was on his path and on his journey as well. So I didn't really I had his support, but spiritually, the support that I needed, that comfort that I wanted, I really didn't have it from nowhere. I didn't tell nobody what's going on. I didn't really get it from my husband. I had to literally lean on God, but I was mad at the same time. Anyway, we got through getting the services and all that other stuff. And at that time, we were pregnant. Were we pregnant? Yeah, we were pregnant with John.
No.
John at that.
No, this was before him.
That was before John?
Before.
That was before John. Okay. And then we got pregnant with John. So now we had to get more services for medical. And when I was used to getting my yearly physicals, I was like, okay, good. I don't need really health insurance for the next year because I already had my physical. So I didn't have to go, to the doctors or whatever. But now I had to go get my regular checkup. So when I went to my doctor, they told me I couldn't no longer go there because they didn't accept Medicaid. Devastated. So now I was like, where are they going to send me? All these thoughts were running through my mind. I was thinking, I'm going to be honest. I was thinking the places that probably accept Medicaid, they're probably dirty and disgusting. That was totally wrong for what I was thinking. But God is so good because when we got to the doctors, I remember we had to go to our first checkup. I mean, I was in tears. We were in the waiting room. I was crying. I was like, what's wrong? I'm like, I can't believe that we're here. I was like, God said, but, and when we got into the doctor's office inside the room for me to be seen, in comes my doctor from my practice that I used to go to when I had regular insurance. And I'm looking at her and I'm like, where do I know you from? And come to find out, she was only at my doctor's temporarily filling in for somebody. This is where she worked. And I loved her. And so when she told me that, I was like, oh my God, it was such a relief. And then I just poured out to her everything I was feeling. And she just comforted me. And she said, it's okay. You're going to have the best care taking care of you here. If I had to do it, I would be here myself and I would come through. I trust that right there for me was God just coming down in that room, sharing with me that I'm here with you. And yes, I told you to leave your job. And yes, I told you to do this. I need to break you. You need to be broken in your worldly thoughts and ways so I can fill you up in my ways. So you have to go through this process, not just for you, but you have to go through this for other people. So like today, this day right here, whoever's watching can understand that they will be encouraged, that they won't feel ashamed. So that I know now, and I was knowing even then what that was for. But at that time, it was hard, but that little piece of me still was like, this is for something else. These moments are for a later time. And I remember I called you and I was like, babe, this story is going to be shared. It's going to be used. I don't know when and how, but it is. So anyway, from that point, things turned around and how I was feeling. I was like, wow, okay, I could do this. But it was time to go to the grocery store because we didn't qualify. We qualified for WIC. We qualified for Medicaid. We didn't qualify for food stamps. And I don't know if I was happy about that or sad about that. Fred was happy. It wasn't that I wanted it, but I think I felt like, good, we don't qualify for everything. but shoot, I'm still mad. And anyway, I remember that first time I had to go to the grocery store for WIC. Oh my God, it took me forever. A checkout that could have taken like the whole time in the store, 10 minutes, took me like almost an hour because I don't know what I'm doing. I got the book in my hand trying to figure out what cereal I can get, what this I can get. I was just mad getting the cereal, putting it in the thing, just angry. People were walking by me and I'm like, go around, just upset. Then I get to the checkout. And it's always at the checkout. Somebody, they don't know everything that's going on. They got to call the manager. I'm like, oh my God, can we hurry up? I'm looking around, making sure nobody that I know is coming in the line. I know one time we went through the line and we did see somebody we knew. What'd you do? You, Fred, I think, walked away. And I think I was like trying to push the stuff to hurry up and go through. Anyway, we can laugh now, but I'm talking about angry. I was beyond angry. So angry that even to this day, I know there was one guy he works at the supermarket. Nice guy. And he was always so nice, even though I was treating him so wrong. But I want to go back and just apologize to him. And I really want to bless him because that he was showing me truly the love of God. Even though the way I was acting, he was showing me the love of God. And I'm just so appreciative that God still had his people just there even when we were going through this. So here I am, a Christian, saved, all of that, and going to church and everything. And I was angry, upset, mad, acting a fool, treating people just bad because of my situation. Not nothing they did to me. They were being helpful, but just because of fear, embarrassment, shame, which none of us should ever have to feel. And matter of fact, I thank God for social services. I thank God for the assistance. And I really get disheartened when I think about people abusing and using the system, because you know what? It has been a blessing. That service has saved us thousands of dollars that we couldn't afford to deliver a child. Thousands of dollars that we couldn't afford for health care and even food. I mean, goodness, the cereal, the milk, oh my gosh, the juice, all of that was a lifesaver, because when I tell you we were going through, we were.
But not only that, think about this. When we were going through that, the excess that we had, we didn't keep. We blessed the pantry, we blessed other people who needed it.
Yes.
So it wasn't just for us to have.
That's right.
Yes, it was a temporary setback in terms of financial gain.
Yes.
But the blessing that we had in terms of the value, in terms of what we got from the grocery store, and what we gave to the pantry and those truly in need who didn't, who were far more down the line than we were in terms of being able to obtain it.
Right.
So to us, that was awesome, based on the fact that we would come home with several jugs. We would have some juice, some cereal, some milk.
Yeah.
I can't remember everything that we was at.
Juice, cereal, milk, rice, beans.
Okay, but every time we would go, we would take some. We would take a portion, a box, and she would take it to the pantry to give it to those truly in need.
Who needed it? Because they gave us way too. Then I was like, wow, this is a lot.
Oh, yeah.
It was a lot. So we said, we're gonna bless others, and we took that stuff and we gave it to people that we didn't know, because again, still that fear was in there. We didn't want to give it to people we knew. We could have given it to our neighbors, and I'm sure our neighbors were like, what? I mean, I'm sure when James and Tamika and others, Lisa and them watch this, they'll be like, girl, you could have brought that all them times and we could have had some extra meal. We were so embarrassed. Oh my God, I don't even want to go into that other thing with the mail, but we're not gonna go into that's a whole nother another thing. When somebody that was close to us found out that they didn't find out. I actually thought they found out,
you didn't listen
and I was so afraid, so I had to call them and just tell them everything that was going on. And it was just
fellas. I told her to listen to me, but she didn't listen. What does that mean? Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh! But we're not gonna go there today. But I just say all this to say, in spite of all of that, I did not curse God. I cried. Oh, I cried. I had a little doubt, but even with that, his words was still stronger than the doubt that I had. Nothing inside of me could tell me differently. Nobody could tell me differently. You could come close, but you couldn't tell me that God didn't tell me what he told me, that I had to listen. And I had to listen not just because he told me, because I've seen and heard other people's stories and testimonies just like this over the years that I had been personally developing and spiritually developing and other businesses and things that we were in. So I said, you know what? We're going to go for it. we came this far. We're going to go for it. God has led us and guided us this far. And we've never been in a situation. We're vulnerable. It's hard. It's not easy, but we're going to do it. So anyway, go and sharing that to go back to the story. As angry as I was, upset as we was, as embarrassed as we was, as ashamed as we was, we still never cursed God. We grew deeper. And it's been the best, I'm telling you, the best experience ever for our marriage, for us together, for our children, for who we are. We had to rid a lot of junk that was inside of us. It showed us who we were and all the imperfections that we had and even still have. But it just still shows us that God's love still does not matter how bad and how angry, how mad, how disgusting, how anything you are, will never change how he feels about us. So that's our story on today. And I'll turn it back over to my husband, and then we'll go into announcements. Thank you for letting me share.
So with anger and forgiveness, I don't know how long we're going to keep highlighting anger. But one of the books that my wife and I both read, she read it first and then turned me onto it, was a book called Anger and Forgiveness by Dr. Raymond Lloyd Richmond. This is the cover. We both read it. And I'm going to give you a little excerpt from it. It says, all anger is, at its core, a dark and cruel wish for harm to come upon the person who hurt you. So we know that angry people hurt people, and we want the person who hurt us to feel the same pain. And then discriminately, what it says down in the book as well, we get so angry at the person, and sometimes we can't hurt them, so we hurt ourselves in order to say, I'm hurt. You hurt me, and I'm going to hurt myself to make you see how much you hurt me.
Yeah, I remember when I read that.
You think about that. We want the awareness, somebody to be aware of how much they hurt us. That if we can't directly hurt them, we continue to hurt ourselves in so many aspects of life. So, we can go into that at a later day and time. But if I would recommend a book for somebody who's dealing with this, Anger and Forgiveness.
Say the name again in the author.
It's called Anger and Forgiveness. It's the 3rd edition by Dr. Raymond Lloyd Richmond. It's an awesome book.
And I actually spoke to the author because after I read that book, I was like, I have to get in touch with him. And he was just so nice. And he just, basically shared that really the best thing that we can do is just read that book for ourselves and share it with other people. So I was like, is there a workbook? Can we teach on that? He's like, just share for other people and let them get what they need to get out of it. So we highly, highly recommend getting that book.
Yeah. So go ahead.
All right.
Turn back over to you.
So the next thing we want to do, because it's very important, and if nobody caught nothing that we said today, what we do want to make sure is that you have an opportunity to accept Jesus Christ's invitation. And so I'm going to extend an invitation to you to accept Jesus Christ's invitation. And all you need to do is say yes and just kind of basically repeat these words after me, and then you are saved. So this is from Romans 10:9. It says, if you openly declare that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. And that's it. And just say, I declare and I believe in my heart that Jesus is Lord and God raised him from the dead. And you're saved. That's it. There's no, you don't have to go through all these series and ceremonies and all of this other stuff to receive Jesus Christ. You can do it right there from wherever you are. So we extend that invitation to you and hope that you make a decision, if not today, soon. So that way you can really experience the best days of your life after walking with him. Next, I'm going to share and talk about giving. Giving is been a blessing for us in so many ways. I know earlier on in our marriage, it was tough. Again, as a new believer, I remember wanting to do everything the way God wanted us to do, and I didn't want to do nothing wrong, and that's just how it goes. But that's not the reality. Oh my God, if not, more mistakes will happen. But I remember when we got together and we started combining our accounts, and we had to write out those checks for tithing. No,
be honest. Let's be honest.
What?
I didn't write out one check.
Well, no, he didn't write out a check. I wrote the checks out.
And it was tough because I remember sitting in the pew and she'd write out the check. She's sitting there and then she would do this. She'd write the check out, fold it up, and give it to me. And I'd be sitting next to her, like, because she wanted the man to put her husband, the head of the house, to put the check in. So I would sit there and
he would open it up
like, and close it real quick. Real quick. And I'm just saying this because it hurt. Because you think of growing up in a low middle class family, sometimes your parents had services, and you just remember. Sometimes you remember the lack that we didn't have, and I remember the money that we were making. It was great money. It was just like, oh man, really? You don't know how much we can get with this. You don't. Oh man, I can get this. I can get my motorcycle. And those who know me know I love motorcycles, and I always wanted my motorcycle. I still don't have it yet, but here's the thing.